I listen to your lectures, and you often talk about three stages of, from eschatological point of view, three stages of coming to the solution or to the end, whatever we want to call it. And it's actually coordinated, it's matching the three world wars. Could you elaborate more about that? Could you tell, please, our audience more about that view?
Okay. There is this in common between Christian eschatology and Islamic eschatology. And our viewing audience, both Muslim and Christian in the Balkans, would understand and agree with me that both the Christian and the Muslim believe that the Messiah came, the Messiah left, and that the Messiah will return, and that the Messiah is Jesus, the Son of the Virgin Mary. Let me repeat it, that both the Christian and the Muslim hold these views. And NATO cannot change that. Forget it. Now then, both the Christian and the Muslim also believe that before the Messiah returns, that there is going to be an impostor who will seek to impersonate the Messiah. The Christian knows him as the Antichrist, and the Muslim knows him as Dajjal, al-Masih al-Dajjal, or the great pretender, the great impersonator. Now then, the Quran has two kinds of verses, those which do not have to be interpreted and those which have to be interpreted. And most of the verses of the Quran pertaining to the end time, to the end of history, are such that they have to be interpreted. And one of the foremost verses about the end time is the warning to mankind of a shadow which will now appear with three parts. And my interpretation of that shadow is that it is the Antichrist or Dajjal, the false Messiah, and that his footprints come in three parts. For me, the three parts are not World War I, World War II, and World War III. No. For me, the footprints are Pax Britannica and Pax Americana, and that Pax Americana cannot remain forever, not even with Donald Trump. That Pax Americana is going to fade away with the sunset, and there will be a Pax Judaica to replace it, that Israel wants to replace the United States of America as the next ruling state in the world. And when it does so, then someone will stand up in Jerusalem and he will declare, falsely so, I am the Messiah. But no Christian will accept that, because every Christian knows that the Messiah is Jesus, the Son of the Virgin Mary. And every Muslim, I don't know about the Muslims in the Balkans. I don't know about the Muslims in the Balkans, whether they're still sleeping or whether they'll ever wake up. But every Muslim in the rest of the world knows that the Messiah is Jesus, the Son of the Virgin Mary. This is what holds both of these people together, locked together in an eschatological unity and fraternity. So when the false Messiah is to return, he will stand up in Jerusalem and say, I am the Messiah, while ruling the world. This is why Israel wants to provoke the Great War. I don't know whether Russia knows that or not, but it is most likely the Israeli Mossad which will trigger the Great War. Unless the Great War takes place, A Pax Judaica cannot replace Pax Americana. You won't find this kind of political analysis in a university classroom, not at all. This is entirely eschatological, and I am of the opinion that Islamic eschatology and Christian eschatology are destined to come even closer and closer to each other, and NATO cannot stop it.
But wouldn't you say that we are actually already living in the Pax Judaica, as you call it, having in mind that actually United States are doing everything Israel wants, and that actually Israel is the one who rules America now? Isn't this already the Pax Judaica that we are living in?
There is an eschatological aspect to this subject now that we must look at, and that is both the Quran and the Gospel, as well as the Torah, speak about a people who are an essentially godless people, but who have tremendous power. A godless people who use power to oppress. And that these are the people who are going to bring the Jews back to Jerusalem to reclaim it as their own. 2,000 years after they were expelled by divine decree. Both the Quran and the Gospel and the Torah describe them as Gog and Magog. But it is a hopelessly difficult subject, hopelessly difficult subject for people who lack the capacity to think. The Quran is clear that those who bring the Jews back to Jerusalem to reclaim it as their own, 2,000 years after they were expelled by divine decree, are not an Israelite people. They do not have any genetic links with Abraham, not at all. They are Gog and Magog, and they are a European people. So yes, there is intense oppression in the Holy Land, in Gaza. There is genocide in broad daylight. But those who are committing the genocide are not the Israelite people. They are a European people, what you call a Johnny-come-lately, a European people who converted to Judaism and who are taking the Jews on the last ride on which they'll ever go. These are the same people who control power in the modern West. And Russia has recognized them in Ukraine at long last. Russia has recognized them at work in Ukraine, wanting to trigger the Great War. All that now remains is for Russia, for Moscow to recognize that the same people who are waging war on Russia in Ukraine are the same people who control power in Israel today.